My name is Philippe Marinig. I'm French, born in France, from Italian origin, and moved in South Africa in 1992, then in Japan. So I'm traveling and discovering the world. I was a photographer, and now I'm more like writing stories with images, you know.
Okay, Philip, what brings you to Africa, and what is it about the bush that you like?
My first experience in Africa was long ago when I was more like a documentary photographer for newspapers. So it was about news and actuality, mainly in West Africa. Then I moved in South Africa, in Cape Town, in 1992 for more like a commercial activity. It was advertising and commercial, and in all these years, for 20 years, I enjoyed going to the bush. So my first experience was 25 years ago in the bush.
And what does it feel for you to be in the bush? What is it for your spirit?
The bush, it's really something with, it's a power, and you feel awake, you know. It gives you this like, you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, all the time change, and nothing changes in the bush, you know. For me, I'm traveling from like Europe and Japan, and every time I'm coming to Cape Town, I can see the cities almost double every time, every 4 or 5 years. And the bush, it's the same. There's no proportion, it's the same, you know. So nothing changed, but the power is still there, very alive.
And does that influence your photography in any way? Can you bring that into your work, your art?
I did my first exhibition about the wild and the bush was done in Japan in 2010, and the idea was especially the show was in Japan, so it's a very big city. It was to make a journey, to take the visitor into the bush. So the idea was to try to see how the animals live, you know, how they walk, how they see things, and the proportion, you know. And it's not easy because it's what you feel and what you can capture is a very difficult challenge, you know, in the bush.
Yeah, you cannot control. Talk a bit about that. When you are doing photography in a studio, you can control your situation, but in the bush, you have to capture.
Yeah, absolutely. You're really dependent of what's happening, you know, and some pictures are maybe boring because nothing happened, but this is a bush as well, you know. It's you need a picture with nothing happen, you know, but it's linked to another one and linked to what amazed me in the bush, you know. Every time I see things and there's nothing, there's no animals, you know, but I see shape of trees or shape of rocks or like moving trees, and it's a life in the bush. There's a life in the bush.
Your life in Japan it's more in the cities, it's not. So the contrast between the bush and Japan is big for you.
The contrast is huge. You know, it's really like almost. It's totally. But I am not Japanese, so for me it's like I got maybe the same eye. I discover like urban jungle, you know, and people are moving in, you know, like. I don't know where they're going, but it's a bit like the bush, you know, the animals are going somewhere. So the thing is to try to understand in Japan, it's a society, in the bush, is with the time you understand a little bit more about the animals, about how they're moving, what they need, you know, and you're getting more comfortable, you know.
Tell me a bit about the work you do with the geishas and the sumo wrestlers, how the difference between that kind of photography and animal photography of the bush.
Yeah, I just finished a work, not finished, but I finished one chapter of this body of work on geisha. It took me 5 years to achieve a book, and we call it Secret World. So it's a secret world, you know, and in fact the bush is very secret as well, you know, because you don't really know which way to go, which door to open, so you need to get to spend time, a lot of time, and it's very the secret world of the bush and the secret world of the geisha are very kind of there's something a bit similar, you know, and
after you spend time in the bush and you go back to Japan, do you feel you've brought something new with you, some influence in your work?
when I work, you know, with my two main subjects in Japan for a long time now, I got the same humility. You know, I need to just to spend time and to really live the moment and try to capture what's happening. You know, so I cannot control anything. It's like the bush. The bush control you, and my subject, you know, control me as well, because I don't. It's a very what I managed to achieve with the sumo wall, for example. They adopt me, you know, because I was quiet and because I was so I build trust with these people, and I think the bush is very similar. You need to, you cannot control anything, you know.
Okay, let's talk about Rhino Disharmony. What does it mean to you to be an ambassador of Rhino Disharmony?
It's like I say, I did this show in Tokyo in 2010, and for the Japanese people who, it was in Tokyo, and they saw the exhibition, and I talked to some of the visitors, and I like to be with the visitor when they go to the exhibition, and I can feel it was for them a different planet, you know. And in the same time, you know, today the planet is very small, and we're talking every day saving the planet, you know. This big catastrophe like in Japan, unfortunately, there's this big nuclear things, you know, like a Fukushima, and affect all the world, you know. Today, this problem of, like, for example, in Cape Town, the water problem, there's a lot of concern about the planet. And of course, you know, this when I heard this problem of for a long time now about killing animals and this market, you know, you don't know exactly it's for long now. The ivory, you know, in Africa, there's a lot of like problem in Africa. But when you visit the bush, you don't really see the effect. You know, you don't see there's no more like a building or no more like you cannot really. The bad news is when it's really the people who live there. So the people who are really like people who live in the bush, you know, they alert the world, you know. And for me, like with my little power of maybe creating some to collaborate with them, it's a big honor, you know, and a challenge.
All right. Okay. And so, how would you describe the work? I mean, you've done a bit of that now. How does the Rhino Disharmony help towards reducing the poaching of the rhinos?
I think it's like, you know, I just came from Motswari, and it was really a lovely stay because I was lucky to have Marion, the daughter of the people who start Motswari. It's a family. It's like there's a story of 50 years, and the mother was there. So it was for me a big input about early stage, you know, but it's not so long ago, 50 years ago. And the lady told me it's a lot of change, you know. And I said, but where are the change? I don't see any change in the bush, you know. But by listening to them, you know, it's a lot of change, you know. And we don't see them, so we need to show, to try to express, you know, with words, with maybe visual, and to document what are the change, you know. And it's a big I think it's a big alarm, you know, because the numbers of animals are getting really down.
Do you think that your work and the work of the other artists that have been there, telling the story of the poaching of the rhino, do you think that those images help in a place like Asia to let the people realize what they're doing is not right?
It will be for sure. It's to really the work of the artists are phenomenal. First of all, I think it's helping the people who are in the bush, it give them support. That is a very important thing, to give support to people who are there, then to give financial support to the patrol and to these people. That I think is the first stage, and that is done, I think, properly. And after is to really to build like events, and it's difficult because I live most of my time in Japan, and the problem happening apparently the people who are buying, are in Asia, but Asia is a big continent, Maybe they're not in Asia. Maybe it's the trafficking is starting. It's a big world problem. It's about money. The thing is it's not to target one people like Chinese or is to really to try to be honest with the problem, and the concern is really the what is the future.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Say, if you had to do photography about rhino poaching and show the horrible images of the rhinos, do you think that will influence people in Asia to maybe not do what they're doing?
It's one aspect, This aspect need to be processed, to be done. But I think I would love to follow as well the people who are more the soldiers, against this war. It's a war, So the rhino, the animal, is the first victim, But the other victim, it's the whole process. It's the drug trafficking, the money, and all together. I think we artists and movie maker like yourself and we need to attack, what is this war.
Yeah, it's about education, getting people to understand. The war is one thing where you fight the poacher, but to stop the demand is the education. It's the informing people of what's happening, and you feel that the work of the artist is helping there.
Yes, and I think it's to. You say denouncing. I think it's a white word. It's to denounce not one. It's a whole process, And I think it's about money, So people are maybe they getting for this thing because it's highly expensive. Like the world is getting a bit very unbalanced, This is the planet with more and more poor people and more very rich people, and it's very unbalanced. Everything is the thing with animals. People they don't. It's really the concern is now.
Yeah, I think I've covered everything. Anything you want to add that you feel?
Yeah, I'm very excited about this whole project, and like I said, I was lucky to have Marion, and we can do amazing event, and and so show the facts. The facts is the numbers of animals and how it's going to end. If we don't, it's going to be very fast, very quick. When you go to, I was impressed. When I'm coming to Cape Town after 4 years, I can see the city, the waterfront is doubling. Boom. When you go to the bush, it's the same, but the number of deaths is so high. So one day the bush is going to be like the planet where there's no more animals. It's very scary.
You spent time with Marion. She's always been there. How is she feeling about it? Does she think it's going to be okay, or do you think she's going to lose the rhinos?
She's a lovely lady, and the family as well. They're very positive and they do action, So I cannot really answer. I don't really know. She's very positive, and so she's very much involved. But in the same time, when we look the facts, it's a bit it's scary.
So you don't feel as positive, eh?
No, I'm not, because it's really the numbers are very little, If I go back to my subject, we're talking about the geisha, So the geisha is a worldwide everybody know a little bit of a geisha. It's this lady who got makeup, and it's Japanese. We don't really know. So she's an artist, no? Who is there for the origin is 400 years old, and today the number of geisha is like between 50 and 100 geisha. You know, is dying. Then when it's dying, you got the fake one after, who is coming slowly. You know, so the bush is going to be maybe a zoo. It's already a zoo today, you know. In France, it was a poaching of a rhino. 6 months ago, 1 year ago, they killed a rhino in a zoo. You know, so the thing is getting, it's very scary.
Okay, do you want to say anything in French?
Pour les Français, l'Afrique et la jungle, c'est quelque chose il y a une mythologie. Pas beaucoup de gens ont eu la chance de venir voyager, visiter. Les gens pensent que c'est intact et que la vie continue. Parce qu'il y a toujours des films, des dessins animés, des choses très... Oui, Charles, je vais un petit peu m'exprimer en français. Donc on parle du bush africain. Le bush africain, pour nous les Français, c'est la jungle africaine, c'est quelque chose qui est un petit peu une autre planète. Les gens ne la connaissent pas forcément et pensent que c'est encore très préservé. On a la chance d'avoir l'éducation des enfants passe par les livres de la jungle, les dessins animés, les films, etc. Et les gens qui viennent en Afrique voir les animaux sont en général des gens assez fortunés qui font des safaris, reviennent avec des belles photos. Mais la prise de conscience, aussi bien en dehors aussi bien en France qu'ailleurs, est difficile l'alerte est difficile à donner parce que les gens, pour eux, c'est la planète Afrique va rester comme ça, vierge. Et en fait, l'avenir est très incertain. Donc c'est pour ça qu'il faut éveiller les gens en dehors il faut éveiller le problème aujourd'hui.
Et comment tu penses qu'on peut éveiller le problème ?
Ça va dans ce qui se passe aujourd'hui, c'est le problème de la planète. Donc tous les aspects de la planète, le climat, la pauvreté, les migrations climatiques, les guerres, enfin la planète est vraiment en pleine unbalance, donc c'est en plein déséquilibre. Et les animaux qui sont un peu qui sont apparemment indestructibles sont des victimes de trafiquants, comme les trafiquants de drogue, les trafiquants c'est l'argent. Et aujourd'hui, le problème, c'est que la ressource, si on appelle ça, si on peut pas, mais en fait si, on peut appeler la ressource d'espèces animales est en train de disparaître. Dans 20 ans, il n'y a plus de rhinos en Afrique.
Et quel est le moyen d'endiguer ce projet sur du long terme, dans le futur ?
Mais le mot que tu viens d'employer, c'est ça, c'est le terme. En fait, c'est le time. Le time, c'est que le temps va très très vite. Et on va très très vite. C'est très très alarmant. C'est presque... donc c'est heureusement qu'il y a des gens en Afrique du Sud, enfin qui sont concernés et qui font des choses, mais c'est presque trop tard. Je suis assez négatif. Donc il faut tous s'unir. Les artistes, les écrivains, les journalistes, les movie makers, et faire montrer, faire une alarme réelle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Thank
I
you.
couldn't ask questions because he's
said it
perfect. So
Yeah.
parfait, Manu.